Dave here with Limitless Brave. Today I'm going to share with you a really powerful story how I conquered one of my deepest fears that I didn't even know I had, and how it led me to a life that I couldn't even imagine. So one of my greatest fears, and one of many people's fears, is the fear of flying. And so I thought. Did you guys know that we're born with two primal fears? A fear of falling and a fear of loud noises. So let's hop back into the time machine to when I was about 17 years old. I took my first flight ever, and I went out to Jackson Hole. We went skiing, had a great time. I flew home, no problems, enjoyed the experience of flight. It was amazing. And as I got older and started flying a little bit more, I had some fairly rough flights, but nothing that was of any concern. No emergency landings, no, issues on the plane. This fear, this unnatural fear, just started building up inside of me for no reason, to the point that I actually stopped flying for over 10 years. And that cost me a decade of my life when I look back on it. So what happened? Our minds are so powerful. I actually created a story in my mind around flying for no reason, just out of sheer craziness. That's what our minds will do to us. And I created such a fear that I actually had a panic attack on the very last flight I ever flew on. And I didn't fly, like I said, for 10 years after that. So what did I do? I loved to travel, and I would drive everywhere. I've driven across the US 7 times, coast to coast. How crazy is that? It's a great story, lots of wonderful road trip experiences. And had I been flying, I would have never been able to do that. But because I created this crazy idea in my mind, I forced myself to be in this position where I had to drive everywhere. I couldn't get on a plane. Just going to the airport brought in so much anxiety into my body. It was crazy. I couldn't even go to the airport because I would just get freaked out that this thing that was inside of me that I didn't know what it was eating away at me, and I just couldn't even be around planes. I couldn't be around an airport, anything. That's pretty bad. So over those 10 years, I gave up so many opportunities because I wouldn't fly. I gave up an amazing opportunity as a photographer to travel the world, making $100,000, touring around the world, photographing beautiful places for magazines. I turned that job down because I was afraid to fly. That's crazy. And this cost me that job, but it cost me so much more. So many more opportunities to go to Europe, to go to Asia, to go to South America. I just wouldn't get on a plane. And this started to eat at me and started to bother me way more than the actual fear. And so I started down this journey of researching why people were afraid of flying. I got an online self-help program for like 20 bucks. I watched that thing like 100 times, and that helped a little bit, but I still wouldn't get on the plane. And finally, I just kind of got up enough courage, and I told myself that I had to face this thing, but I still didn't do anything. And it wasn't until my brother and I were at a base jumping event in West Virginia with our clothing company at the time, and I fell in love with base jumping. I was like, I want to get into this sport. So I was talking to people there that were jumping, asking them how to get involved in the sport, and they said, well, you got to learn how to skydive first. I was like, well, I don't get in planes, so is there another way? And they're like, no, you have to skydive first. It's critically important, and it's a very big safety issue if you're not skydiving before you start base jumping. So I kind of put that to bed for a while. Went back to the event the next year. This time I had known some people at the event and was a little bit more comfortable at the event and started talking to them more about skydiving and the path again. And a couple of them befriended me and kind of took me under their wing and explained to me like what the sensations were around skydiving. And so I somehow got talked into skydiving, and I went and did my very first jump with these guys. I felt really comfortable with them and that everything was going to be good. And just a little fun fact, less than 1% of the entire planet has ever jumped out of an airplane. So here I am, I'm at the drop zone, I've done all my safety briefings, and I'm going to jump out of an airplane. I was terrified. And I knew in some part of my mind, in the deep, dark recesses, that I needed to do this for some reason, and I didn't know what that reason was. So we get in the plane, I'm harnessed up, ready to do my first skydive. We get to the door, and my buddy goes, on the count of 3, we're gonna leave the plane. We leave the plane on the count of 2, of course. So there's no time to freak out, and out the door we go. And there was just so much exhilaration in my body that I had never experienced before. And in that split second of free fall, as I'm watching the plane disappear and we're falling toward the earth, I had this epiphany that my fear around flying was never about flying itself. The fear was actually the fear of falling, which is kind of counterintuitive for me because I'd done a lot of rock climbing and I've taken a lot of big falls, but there was something about falling out of an airplane that really bothered me. And somehow my mind connected the dots that if I got in an airplane that I would fall to the ground and die. Obviously not. So I'm enjoying this jump. It's amazing. I have this epiphany. I was like, I can't believe that this is what's been stopping me. And I get to the ground and we do it again. And I'm hooked. I'm hooked on skydiving. And I go on to build a small career in skydiving. I've jumped all over the world, and I've actually been paid to go to countries to jump. And I would have never been able to have those experiences had I not gotten over this fear that I had. And if you guys know, and I'm not sure if I mentioned at the beginning of the video or not, we're born with 2 primal fears: the fear of loud noises and the fear of falling. These are primal fears we're born with, all of us. And if we don't address these fears, we're never going to be able to fully actualize ourselves and get to an amazing place that we never thought was possible. So that primal fear of mine was clearly eradicated at this point. And I have over 270 skydives and 7 wingsuit flights, which is not a lot in the world of skydiving. But for your average person, that's a lot. And it has led me to explore the world, to bring other people into the sport. I've even brought clients like you into the sport and have done jumps with them. And it's such an amazing thing to see people face this fear that they don't even know is inside of them and watch their confidence grow to a new level, allow themselves to take on more risk in their life, to get to an amazing place that they never thought was possible. All from something as simple as jumping out of an airplane. But what's really going on is you're stepping up to the plate and you're facing a fear that is holding you back from everything that you want in your life. Had I not gone skydiving, had I not faced this fear, I wouldn't have traveled to 30 countries. I wouldn't have jumped with the Prince of Jordan. I wouldn't have met my amazing wife. I wouldn't have made the money that I've made. And I wouldn't be as culturally educated as I am right now, all because I faced this fear. So I want to leave you with this. What fear is holding you back from going to that next level? And I've been coaching men since 2009 on fears of all types of things: dating, business, lifestyle, making money, starting their business. So what is it that you're struggling with that I can help you with? I have an amazing virtual coaching program where I can coach you right at home in your own house, just hanging out, you and I, and we get things done that you're not going to be able to get done anywhere else. So I look forward to hearing from you, and check out limitlessbrave.com and check out the Limitless Crew. That's where you're going to find all the information about the virtual coaching program. It's a 3-month commitment, and in 3 months we can get a lot done. Hope to talk to you soon.